as the world now waits for what is next in the Middle East after the leader of Hamas, Yahya Sinwar, was killed in an Israeli strike. Hamas, Hezbollah, and their Iranian backers are all vowing retaliation, while Israel is set to strike the Iranian military in response to a rocket barrage earlier this week. All of this adding to the growing tensions and expanding war in that region. And we now have some new video showing Sinwar's final moments. Look at this. Now, he was the mastermind behind the October 7th terror attacks on Israel. And you see that drone flying into a building heavily damaged by the strike, finding a badly injured Sinwar sitting in a room. He then lifts and throws something at the drone. The IDF says he was killed moments later. Now, the U.S. is praising the IDF's effort, saying the terror leader's death brings new hope for hostage families because he was the greatest obstacle in any hostage negotiation or ceasefire deal. So let's bring in NewsNation's Joe Connell, who's following all of this for us from Washington. Joe, what is the latest?
Well, in the wake of Yahya Sinwar's death, Hamas remains defiant. In fact, one of their remaining leaders released a statement to a couple of international media outlets saying essentially that Hamas cannot be eliminated. This person, Bassem Naim, went on to say that every time Israel kills one of Hamas's leaders, the group becomes, in his view, stronger and more powerful. We're also hearing from several other Hamas leaders. Some have said, basically echoing that same idea, that Hamas is not going to get any closer to a ceasefire deal unless Israel withdraws its defense forces from Gaza. Realistically, though, despite all that tough talk, the reality is we don't know how the next couple of weeks are going to play out in the wake of Sinwar's death. American officials, up to and including Vice President Kamala Harris and President Joe Biden, both say they are holding out hope that Sinwar's death can be a turning point that leads to a peace deal. One major question that's outstanding, though, what is the role that Iranian leaders are going to play in this discussion? Hamas, we know, is a proxy for Iran. Oftentimes when they act, they do so on the behest of Iran. But this morning we spoke to Congressman Ami Bera, who's on the House Foreign Affairs Committee and the House Intelligence Committee. Despite the influence that Iran has over Hamas, Congressman Bera tells us Sinwar often acted on his own, especially when it came to the negotiations, shutting down peace deals time and time again. So the fact that he's gone, Bera says, does open up at least the possibility that things may change. This is what he told us.
All indications are Hamas acted on October 7th independent of Iran. They made the decision. Sinwar made this decision. He was never going to agree to a ceasefire. I think the urgency now is, can we get that ceasefire? I think, for the hostages, some of who are American, we need to get those hostages released ASAP.
Now, of course, Nichole, we know Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has promised to continue the war effort. He says the job of the IDF is certainly not done yet. We've also heard from John Kirby, the spokesperson for the National Security Council, this morning, who said the reason they feel somewhat optimistic that Sinwar's death may change something is because Israel has had serious accomplishments on the battlefield in the last couple of weeks. Take a look at the leadership that they have already killed. They say their weapons caches have been dramatically reduced. Their influence, their capabilities, all of it reduced to a point where he says they're confident that Hamas would not even be able to pull off an attack like October 7th again. Given the terrorist group's weakened state, that may, Kirby says, force them back to the negotiating table. We'll have to see how it plays out.
We certainly will, Joe. So you referenced Iran being a key player in Hamas's not only decision-making, but also funding. So have we heard anything yet from Tehran?
So Iran's foreign minister did weigh in actually on Twitter. And interestingly, he posted the picture of Yahya Sinwar from Israel's drone video showing him in the last moments of his life as a, quote, martyr. Iran praising Sinwar there and saying that the fight to liberate the Palestinian people is going to continue. So using that bit there of video and of pictures as a sort of reversal, it's a way to motivate potentially more terrorist activity. Again, we're not certain what role they're going to play, but at least their initial reaction, frankly, what you might expect.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.